All right, my friends, I am now fully convinced that your job is keeping you from finding God, or it's separating you from God. I absolutely believe this. I think what happens is, and C.S. Lewis talks a lot about noise in the Screwtape Letters, about how Satan loves noise. He loves it. That way you can't think. And your job is just the major distraction you have, the major noise in your life to keep you from thinking. Then you got the other distractions, social media, sports, football, all that stuff. But the main one is your job, man. Think about this. What's the farthest humans have ever dug into the ground? It's less than 8 miles, just FYI, all right? Less than 8 miles. Why haven't we dug deeper than that? Well, because it's too hot and porous down 8 miles in the ground. Okay, too hot. Yeah, it makes sense, molten lava, all that stuff. Well, how hot exactly is it down there? All of 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Huh? 350 degrees Fahrenheit? That's hot. You know how we make steel? All right. Part 2. Why else have we dug below that? Well, because the rock becomes porous down there. Porous? So we can't dig because this porous rock, you would think it'd be completely solid. Like, I don't know, freaking impenetrable. It's not. It's porous. And it's all over 350 degrees. So I'm reading this article today because I always wonder, why we spend so much time and money on space. We have no clue what's in our own very center of the earth. We don't have any clue hardly about the below the oceans. But we're going to spend all this time and money in space. Why? And then someone says, well, because we can't dig that deep. Why? I'm reading this article, I think it's from PBS, because it's too hot down there. And initially I said, okay, that kind of makes sense. You're a drill bit melt and all that stuff. But then I did a double take when I saw it said 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I said, what? You can't get a drill bit to drill at 350 degrees Fahrenheit? Oh, give me a freaking break. You're not hitting an impenetrable rocks formation. It's actually porous. But if it's porous, it falls in of itself. Okay, oh, you have a bucket. I mean, give me a freaking break, dudes. Anyway, the point being is, when you have the time and you have the ability to focus, because you're not so distracted. And I got 4 kids, I got 2 dogs, I work with clients every day, I still worry about money, you know what I'm saying? I'm distracted. All kinds of bad distractions out there, you know what I'm saying? They take up a lot of time. Thankfully, I don't drink, and I don't really watch too much in sports. That's a big distraction. Man, I'm still distracted. I'll watch a TV show on occasion, not that much anymore. Anyway, the point being is, when you work your 50 to 60 hour day, which includes commute and all that, getting to work and all that, the last thing you do want to do is come home and read a research paper. You don't. You want to be entertained. You want to chill with a cup of beer, a pint of beer, and just chill. And then you go to bed, 10:30, and you do it again the next day. You listen to sports radio on the way to work because you just want to be out. You don't want to think about it. You get to work, you do the grind that stupid boss is making you do so you can have enough money to pay the mortgage. You come back, you do it again. And the weekend comes, you wake up late, maybe you had a little bit too many beers on Friday night, maybe a little bit hungover. You watch college football on Saturday, you watch the NFL on Sunday, 8 hours a day probably, you know what I'm saying? And then you're just like, all right, I thought it was my friend. And then Sunday night, you're back at it. So go to bed and get up and do it again. So you can't think. You don't have the time or energy or even the desire to think, to question things. So you'll come across an article that's very trite. Why didn't we go to the center of the earth? It's too hot. Okay, well, that makes sense. Because there's molten lava down there, whatever the hell it's called. And you don't take the time. Look, I've been there. I was there. I used to believe all this crap too. Financial planning. All right, well, the experts in financial planning say this, that, and the other about inflation and whatnot, so I'm just going to listen to them because I don't have the time or energy to challenge that because I got a mortgage to pay. You even might go to church, and we all know church is just very ritualistic. At least in Catholic Church. I imagine the same thing in your church too. I don't know, but I imagine Catholic Church very ritualistic. All right, I did my thing. I did the Catholic Church calisthenics. I said my Hail Marys. I said my, Our Fathers, Lord's Prayer. I took the body and blood of Christ. Now I'm back home. It's 11:30. I'm gonna eat lunch and sit down and watch football for the next 5 hours. Dude, this is me part and parcel right there. And then you say, I don't have to think about God much anymore. I don't have to read because I did my calisthenics at church. But I'll just follow the evolutionists. I mean, they seem like they're pretty confident. Who am I? They got PhDs. I'll just follow the astrophysicists. I'll just follow Neil deGrasse Tyson. Why would they lie? Why? If people could just prove them, they'd be out there. Oh yeah, really? You think evolutionists would allow a creationist into academia? You crazy? Going back as far as 1990, we got articles that say Christians should not be allowed in the public square when it comes to science. I got one from the LA Times. One of these days I'll read it to you. Anyway, the point being, you're relying on people to kind of guide your path who don't have your best interests at heart. And that doesn't mean the Catholic Church or your local pastor has your best interests at heart. I'm not saying that in the least. If they mandated jabbies, they don't. That's just a fact. And they can all kiss my big fat shiny behind. What I am saying though is the way to God is through your own thinking, your own prayers, your own research. And the more you do, the more you realize the lies that have been told to you, which you fell for, which kept you away from realizing God's true creation and how He did this for you. He did it for you. Jesus died on the cross for you. For you specifically, dude or dudette who's watching this. He died. He created this whole thing for you. And if you're going to work with your crap little job every day, and grinding, how easy it is to forget that. How easy it is to forget that. How easy it is to have the confidence to challenge the fools of evolution. The fools of, we just go to our grave and nothing happens. Well, because Stephen Hawking says it. And Stephen Hawking was so smart. Says who? Says all the smart people. How are they smart? See how circular logic that is? Oh, man. And then you wake up from it. You wake up from, as Lazarus laughed, you wake up and you smile. You say, holy crap. This was all here in front of me. It's like C.S. Lewis, the Screwtape Letters. It was you all the time. It was you all the time. You're always there. Always there on my side. Always there for me. His guardian angel. I don't think he actually calls it a guardian angel, but it's the same idea. Because what happens in Screwtape Letters is you got the tormentor is trying to trick the protagonist to follow the path of evil so he can be a soul to be eaten and devoured by Satan and his minions. And he does a lot of evil things to trick him. A lot of evil things. At the end of the day, spoiler alert, he gets killed in the bombing of Britain. What was it called? The London. I forgot. We had bombing of London. And he never turned. I mean, he had challenges, but he never turned away from God. And he went and he saw the light, the true, the beautiful of God's creation. And he saw the evil scurry away that was Satan. And he said, it was you all the time, talking about the angel that was there for him. And Satan, who he was tormented and tricked on numerous occasions, as we all are, just could not handle the light that was God's, the shining grace of God. Such a spectacular light. Oh, And Satan scurried away. He couldn't handle it. It wasn't Satan, it was a tormentor. Oh man, so freaking beautiful. So beautiful. And he says, you all the time. The peace that was God's glory. The love that was God. Such a wonderful thing. Such a wonderful book. When was the last time you actually opened up a book to read that talked about something that was more important to you than watching whether or not the Redskins win 24-17 against the Giants? Dude, I'm telling you, I've been there. And once you leave it and you wake up, you literally are waking up. Literally. Because your eyes have been closed to the creation. Even if you go to church every week. Even if you go to church on Christmas and Easter, C&E Catholics, C&E Christians, you realize the lies that have been told to you, all in the name of science, but it's not in the name of science. It's like the climate change people. They don't care about climate change. They're commies. Whatever it takes to convince you, to allow them to control you is what they're doing. They don't care. They could care 2 iotas about the stupid climate. They just care about control. That's what evil does. It lies to you to convince you to throw in with them and to give them power. And Satan does the same. Without question, on a grander scale, mind you. He just lies to you. Whatever it takes. Well, keep working. Your 401k is going to be bigger. You have a nicer house. You have a beach house. You have a vacation house. Keep working, keep working. Don't take the time to stop and smell the flowers. If you work 50 hours, maybe you can work 60 hours a week. Show your boss who's here. You're ready to take over. You're ready to get promoted. And we all go to the black abyss on the ground for your body. Your soul, on the other hand, doesn't. Can't prove it? Nope. Is it faith? Yep. But man, the more you remove yourself from the distractions of your day-to-day, and the biggest distraction is your crappy old job, the more you remove yourself, the more your eyes can awake, the more glorious you see God, the happier you become, the less worried you become, and the more grateful you become, and you're better able to serve God's purpose for you. In my opinion, I think I'm a better servant to God doing what I'm doing now and taking walks with my t-shirt while I'm sweating than when I was working my crappy old job. I think I'm a better servant for him. And the reason is because I can take the time to avoid the distractions and actually focus more on the things that are important, which means to challenge the lies I've been told. But if you don't have the time to challenge the lies you've been told, you'll fall for them. And if you fall for those lies, it doesn't take a rocket science to see what happens next. You'll fall for other lies too. All right. Love your thoughts. We'll see you.